Welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing. On today's show, innovation finally strikes with Bytelight. The Green Giant makes his augmented reality debut, and we have stories from Placecast, Klash, and Facedeals. Plus, a ton of acquisitions, a resource of the week from Ottawa-based Shopify, just in case you didn't know, and special guest Erica McClenney of Expion. Oh, yeah. And did I mention? This is episode number 100. Yeah. We're old. Welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing, episode number 1, recorded November 21st, 2010. Welcome to episode 1 of This Week in Location-Based Marketing. I'm Rob Woodbridge, and with me is Asif Khan, the president of the Location-Based Marketing Association. Asif, first episode. What can we say?
Hey, Rob. Yeah, this is fantastic. Glad to be finally doing this. Just wanted to maybe we should just kick things off and tell.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing. It is actually Sunday night, October 21st, 2012. This, my friends, is episode number 100 of this podcast. My name is Rob Woodbridge from Untether.tv, as it has been for the entire 100. I feel like we've just completed Centurions. With me, as always, Mr. Asif Khan. How are you, buddy?
I'm great. Yes, it's Asif Khan from the Location-Based Marketing Association. We are 100. We got our shirts on today. Yeah, we're happy to celebrate. And yeah, I can't believe we made it to 100 episodes. So here we are.
The only thing that I have made to 100 is 100 shots of beer in Centurion when I was like 19 or 20. Well, I do not know many podcasts that make it to 100 episodes, especially weekly. So this isn't quite our second anniversary, which obviously happens at 104. But this is a pretty monumental thing. You know, we've kind of turned the dial. It's the odometer's gone into 3 digits now. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And as you heard from the beginning there, that was the opening from our very first episode where we're like, you know, timid. We were trying to figure out how this was going to go, and I remember having that conversation with you. See, we got to keep this under 30 minutes. I think we were angry that it was 23 minutes long, our first episode, and now like we hit an hour every single time because there's just so much going on.
Well, there's just so much to cover. I mean, it's constantly moving. There's so much to cover. I think the only downside of being 100 now, Rob, for me, is it's one extra character in the Twitter description.
Oh, you just start over again. I think that yeah, 100 is so significant. But I think what's even more significant for us over the last 2 years is the growth that we've seen in this industry. This staggering number of companies that have come and gone, the amount of money that's gone into these companies, the acquisitions. And obviously, it's shown in the length of the shows. We can't get into a show now. We can't get out of one within an hour. It's very difficult. I got to do some editing now with these because we try to keep it in just around an hour. And I can see as the industry kind of balloons even more that it's going to be even harder to keep it into that 1 hour thing, which is frightening. Yeah. Which is frightening. But it's been a pretty cool ride. So that opening that you heard. It was an early days. Most podcasts don't make it past 10 episodes. We've made it to 100 and going strong. And 4 more episodes from today, from this episode, will be our second anniversary, which will be pretty darn cool to see where we've come in 2 years. It's pretty amazing. I love it. But no time to sit back, is there?
No, there is not. And again, this is a jam show like every week. Some really cool new stuff, though. We talk about the lack of innovation enough on this show, and here we have some actual real innovation going on this week. So I like it.
Many new companies, and you know, this is what we're going to start to see is the maturation of this industry. The real cream of the crop of the companies that are innovating are going to start to rise. The folks that are copying, that are duplicating, that aren't innovating will start to disappear. Especially for this show, we will not be covering those guys that are doing the same thing over and over and over again that everybody else seems to be doing. So. Asif has collated, curated, collected some of the most amazing stories from across the globe, which is what we try to do each and every week. But again, he's brought in 5 stories. Great product interview with Expion. Erica McClenney, who is on, has been interviewed by you. We've got some great 1 funding story, 3 acquisitions. Some of the stuff we talked about a year ago about the big boys getting into the acquisition and location space. We've been waiting for them. They are starting to wake up like sleeping giants. And of course, our resource of the week, which comes from a local Ottawa company, which is where I am. Many of you don't know that, but Shopify is an Ottawa-based Canadian company, and we're good friends with the folks who run that over there. Great little success story in Ottawa. So I mean, there's no rest, so we might as well just jump into it, Asif.
Yeah.
All right, our first story, which is one of these innovative stories that we've been talking about. This is, it's one thing to physically, forcefully hit a button to check in, right, in Foursquare or in Facebook or any of the other check-in applications, Yelp. But it's another thing to be checked in automatically, which we started to see, and the pre-check-in, the precog check-in. Remember we talked about that early on, but now we're talking about facial recognition, automatic check-ins at locations. This can get a little creepy or beneficial, depending on what side of that line you sit on.
Yeah, so this is called Facedeals, and it's a project that's really still in the lab stages, seeking funding. It's come out of an agency actually called Red Pepperland, or Red Pepper actually is the agency. The website's redpepperland.com. These guys are in Nashville, Tennessee, and yeah, they're doing some cool stuff. So basically what they're saying is if you use Facebook Places and you check in on that, they built a little box using a camera and facial recognition technology, and as you walk up to a location that has one of these devices, it basically snaps you and recognizes you and checks you in. So yeah, a bit creepy. I think there's a certain level of creep around this, but what I like about it is this, and I was talking to a bunch of retailers about this over the last couple of weeks, is one of the trends that has to happen is if we're going to continue with the check-in kind of stuff that Foursquare and Gual and all these guys started, it really has to move away from the active check-in to a passive check-in in order to accelerate the use of it and kind of the growth of it. And by that I mean that with Foursquare and with Facebook Places and with the current systems that we have out there, there's just too many steps. It's too cumbersome for the user. You got to download the app first of all. Then you got to pick from a list of places that are around you, and you got to say, I'm at that one. Then you got to decide whether you want to share it with your friends, and there's all these steps you got to go through. As opposed to you just walk in, it recognizes you, and you're checked in as they're trying to do here, or maybe with NFC where you just tap your phone and you're checked in. But it has to certainly be more simpler than it is now.
Yeah, I mean, it has to come down to dial tone again, just like location has now become dial tone. So if you're going to do that, checking in, and it's also got to be cognizant of privacy issues and making sure. I don't know how they do that. If I'm not interested in being checked in, I wonder if there's going to be a backlash of companies that do this. And Amber MacArthur has talked about this company. I can't remember what they're called for the life of me. I was just searching for them. That do that. They actually at conferences and at bars. They scan you automatically. They know that you're a male or a female. They scan your face, and then they tell you the percentages of the males versus females in the bars or at conferences, those kind of things. And you got to be cognizant of the privacy issues around this. Is that if I don't want my face scanned, what do I have to do? Do I have to put up like a shield so that you don't scan my face? Or it's a weird thing.
Yeah, I mean. For sure. Now, I mean, there's an app here that has to be, connected to your Facebook account, and you have to authorize it. So all this stuff is still opt-in at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, we can't just go be scanning everybody without them agreeing to it.
Well, walk into your gym. There's a little camera there, anyways, right? They're filming you already. So, I don't know that we have a lot of options here, but at least this has a big sign on it that basically says Facedeals, and it's on the side of the big camera, and so I'm sure that they'll warn you. But that's pretty cool. If you want more information, go to redpepperland.com, and it's their lead story, and it's checking in with your face, which is great. And that has a whole different connotation for Canadians who enjoy hockey, right? It's because that certainly face plants are not something that that's not how you do this. You don't smear your face up against the glass like in the hockey. No. Facedeals. Second story. This is pretty cool. I have to admit, this is one of these stories that when you sent, I was absolutely blown away, saying, thank God there is still innovation happening. Even if this is a small, logical, like literally a light bulb went off and somebody said, why are we using light bulbs, man, for location? This is cool. Bytelight.
For Mashable, I'm Adam Falk. Lost in a department store? Can't find that last item on your grocery list? A startup from Cambridge, Massachusetts says, just find the light. Specifically, one of its Bytelight LEDs, which aim to do much more than cut down on Macy's electric bill. The company, founded by 2 recent grads, uses LEDs as indoor positioning tools. Think of them as pins on an invisible indoor map. Here's how it works. You're at a museum, you're lost, but luckily that museum has replaced all of its bulbs with Bytelight LEDs. You take out your smart device, open the Bytelight app, it senses the LEDs, and leads you to that painting you were searching for. Or even better, you're walking around a Bytelight-enabled Best Buy with your app open, it senses you're by a TV, and then pushes you an unexpected 15% off. Currently, MIT's Technology Review reports Bytelight is working on a functioning prototype. Founders Dan Ryan and Aaron Gannick say it will give accurate indoor positioning details within a meter. For comparison's sake, Google's recently announced indoor mapping service claims to be able to place your little blue pin within several meters.
Bytelight, yeah. No, absolutely loved this when I came across this one. This is coming out of a couple of guys at MIT in Boston came up with this thing. And effectively, you know, we've talked a lot about indoor location. We've talked a lot about it being the next billion-dollar industry. We've covered a lot of companies in this space. But one of the challenges around indoor location is the costs around, you know, the hardware side of it, installing equipment, installing routers, installing, you know, Bluetooth equipment or whatever it is. And so while most of the solutions out there today are Wi-Fi or Bluetooth based, you know, and Shopkicks uses ultrasound, you know, there's still room for new things. And so Bytelight's basically come up with a system to triangulate position inside of a building, inside of a store, using LEDs. And so with special LED light bulbs and using an app on a smartphone or a tablet that is leveraging the camera sensors on that device, it's basically reading signals coming off of the light bulbs themselves that are emitting. So it's really, really cool. And obviously there's a dual benefit here for stores that switch to these LEDs. There's, you know, savings in electricity costs and things like that as well that come from it. So awesome, awesome stuff.
Yeah, it makes me wonder why this took so long. You know, why the use of everyday items has taken so long for doing this, and you know, and how long it's going to be until we see some low power consumption chips in every single light bulb that do everything from, you know, I think back to the RFID craze, and you know, why didn't every light bulb have an RFID tag in it? You know, because then it would be a conduit to power, and you could have them everywhere, right? It just seems like this is one of those no-brainers that leverage an existing technology that has power, automatic power, and is everywhere, is ubiquitous in a building. Seems logical.
Yeah, no, I mean, it just makes a lot of sense. You know, and there's still a lot of room for growth here. Yeah. Another story that I read, and I'll just quickly mention it. We'll cover it on another show in the future. But I read another story this week, just as an aside. Apple's been granted a couple of new patents. Surprise, surprise. And kind of explains a little bit about why there's no NFC potentially in the new iPhone. But they've filed and been granted a couple of patents around an alternative to NFC, which uses magnetic fields. So they're using the compass in the smartphone now, and basically generating a magnetic field off of the compass there and measuring the distance and proximity to the next smartphone and its compass. So it's like NFC device-to-device communications using magnetic fields. I mean, Apple, crazy. Come on, we'll talk about that more on another show. But there's still lots of innovation out there is what I'm getting at, and Bytelight's a good example of that.
Yeah, and you know, on device and off device, yeah, we have just scraped the surface so far. We don't know what these devices, and I always equate, you know, I think about a company like Sonic Mule, Smule, who does the ocarina and all the musical instrumentation on these devices, is that Guy Wang, who is the founder of that company, came back. He came out to me and said, basically, in one of the interviews I've done with him on Tether.tv, is that I said, well, you know, what was the inspiration? He said, well, you know, we saw all these input mechanisms on these devices, whether it was the microphone or the screen or whatever it was. He said, we just wanted to use every single one of those to create instruments. And I think that when you start to look at the capabilities of these devices today for location-based marketing, location awareness, pushing people to locations,
Yeah.
we've just started using them. And the compass, come on, like we've been using the compass since the very first iPhone, right? Anyway, it's a pretty amazing, and this technology is only at the beginning, and I love what I'm seeing here. Bytelight, BYTELIGHT.com. Go check them out. There's a great video there on how it works. But this is Bytelight. Who would have thought? Would have thought? Stop trying to invent the perfect light bulb, the new light bulb, and start inventing within the light bulb for the location-based marketing world. Pretty cool. All right, so from lights to a big freaking green giant. Now, I'm of the age where I know when I say ho 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 green giant, right? I'm of that age.
I'm right with you.
Yeah,
buddy.
Exactly. So you're in your mid-20s as well, then, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So
augmented reality.
Green Giant. General Mills is at it again. This is one of those companies that's continuing to try and make their brands relevant with the new generation. And so this is a campaign where they felt that, if you were born between 1982 and the early 2000s,
which
you've
we
never heard of the
were,
Green Giant.
Right?
Never heard of the Green Giant. And, we were born before 1982. Anyhow, no.
He's
no,
lying.
Nonsense, no.
He's
Anyhow,
lying.
So they did this once before in the UK, General Mills UK, and so they decided to roll it out in the US as well. So they took New York City's Grand Central Terminal, and they set up this giant augmented reality thing where kids could come up and you could high five with the Green Giant and get your photo taken, doing this high five with an augmented reality Green Giant and have that posted to Facebook. So an interesting application of augmented reality technology, and a great way I think to kind of bring the brand back to a new generation of kids and encourage them to eat vegetables. I mean, come on.
You got this. I'm pulling up this picture now. It's basically of this giant bending down, high five, handing this woman a piece of broccoli. And for those of you who aren't watching the video, who are listening, and it's in the middle of Grand Central Station, and people are watching. This is one of those freaky things. But man, the Green Giant was iconic when we were growing up, and you're right. Nobody really understands. You see him on the cans right now of all these other vegetables, canned vegetables, but nobody really understands the Green Giant. Maybe they should go back to advertising. But I like this. This is one of those campy things that you bring an icon back from the dead, the Green Giant. You breathe a little bit of new life into him, and make people ask why. And the fact that we're talking about the Green Giant says it all, right? That it's been
I'm waiting for Hollywood to pick up on this now. I mean, they brought all the superheroes back with all these movies. We need the Green Giant movie.
Green Giant movie. Come on. If that happens, that's like the Oogie Loves. We took our kids to the Oogie Loves, and it was the worst movie. Here's a movie reference. Here's a movie review. If you want to just keep 90 minutes of your life, don't ever watch the Oogie Loves. Don't. And the second thing would be don't ever watch a Green Giant movie. Not at all. But I like this campaign. Campy, fun, Green Giant, brand building, and one day only, right? There was just one day that this happened.
One day only, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
So do I. It's so exciting. This is like 3 innovative... we could stop right now, right? We got Facedeals, we got Bytelight, and we got the Green Giant. Oh. But we might take a step back here in innovation, but this is something that is, we're starting to see this happening all over the place, which is the deals being applied. This is our fourth story. The deals being applied at the time of purchase, and that's what Placecast has just announced, that they're actually they've launched their card-linked offers. Now this is not unique, but it's a little bit unique because it's location-based, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and absolutely. I think I'm a huge fan of Placecast. I mean, I just love the simplicity of delivering location-based deals and content, over carrier networks, over via an SMS type of model, which is the way these guys work. And they white label their platform. It's geofencing. Lots of carriers using this, as a back-end platform to kind of deliver content. And so what they brought here is card-linked shop alerts, effectively. And so by card-linked, they mean you can connect your credit cards to these offering platforms that are being presented by the various carriers out there. Not that different in some respects than the partnership between Foursquare and Amex we talked about before, or Shopkick and Visa. The difference here is that this is carrier agnostic. Anybody running the platform on the back end, and you can link any card to this. So it's kind of cool. I really like it. And like I said, they've got a lot of brands that have been using Shop Alerts, on the AT&T system. So Starbucks, L'Oreal, Keel, Subway, Pizza Hut, Kmart. There's a whole bunch of people on this system. So it's cool.
Yeah, it is, and this is one of those things that we're getting closer and closer to the point in time where discounts and deals will just be applied to credit card holders at the point of transaction, right? So when you go up and you pay for a good, you'll get your discount, and that's what this is, right? So that's exactly what it is. The difference is that they're driving location, so it's location tagged, it's geofenced, and within that geofence is the only time you'll notice that deal, and it tries to bring you in to the location. So I appreciate the fact that it's doing that with footfall, and it's based on the amount of money that you spend, how much of a discount that you get from that location. So sure. I like the fact that it's driving footfall, it's driving sales and increased sales, and this is a big metric, and I'm going to complain about it with during our resource of the week, is that this is what we should be doing, is we should be measuring the impact of mobile and location on net new sales, and I think that's what Placecast does.
And I think the other key to draw out here in terms of value that a card linked system like this offers is, it helps solve or streamline some of the redemption issues with other systems, right? So, with a lot of the deal platforms out there, you get something on your phone, and then you got to have a barcode scan or some point of sale breakdown, or frontline staff haven't been trading properly when you walk up with your phone and say, "Hey, I'm supposed to get 20% off today." Mm-hmm. All of that goes away because all you have to do is pay with your linked credit card or loyalty card, and it just comes off on your statement after the fact. So you don't have to worry about showing your phone or doing anything. So,
Steve, I got to ask, and there are people out there that are asking, that want me to ask this question, and I'm going to ask this question, is that why aren't credit cards just doing this? Why do they need a company like Placecast? Why does American Express need Foursquare? Why aren't they doing this just themselves?
Well, I think it's a great question. I mean, and from my perspective, I would say that they are doing it to some extent. I mean, American Express has platforms like Serve, and lots of other good platforms out there for the merchants, right? But at the end of the day, this isn't just about the merchants. This is about, connecting with the consumer and the apps and systems that the consumers are embracing as well, right? So consumers are using Facebook Places and Foursquare and, all these other platforms out there, and sort of signing on to these things because the deals are being presented there. Amex isn't out there pushing content or MasterCard or whatever in the same frame. Their focus is keeping the merchant happy and quite frankly competing against new payment platforms. They've got enough to deal with on that front than trying to go after and trying competing directly with a Foursquare or somebody like that, when they can just partner with them and say, link here, they get the benefit anyways. It's if I'm paying with my credit card, I'm still getting, Amex is benefiting from that transaction.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. It's an interesting thing, is that, it's the same reason that we think that massive consolidations can happen, and carriers are going to own the data. Carriers are going to own the customers. Credit card companies are going to own the data and the customers as well. And makes me wonder what happens to a lot of these companies. They either get sucked up, they form a coalition or merge together and take on the credit card companies and the carriers. But ultimately, data is owned by whoever owns the customer. And now, the customer is, and the most stable customers, because we've seen this so many times. The companies, I'm not saying that this is going to happen to Placecast, but so many companies, and we actually look over them and watch them through our funding, our funding segment. But these companies build up a massive following, a good number of following, and then they get acquired, and then they shut down, and there's no loyalty anymore. And credit card companies and carriers, for as much as we loathe paying interest rates and we loathe our carriers for data charges, they have pretty much remained constant throughout this entire time, right? And when you're talking about customer data, guess where it lies? It lies with those companies for a reason, because they've been around the longest, and I don't think they're going anywhere.
For sure.
So, But it's pretty cool.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
I do like the card linked functionality, and I think this is a good move for Placecast.
All right, so our fifth story, I think this is just out of left field. This is a Spanish company called Klash with a K. Okay, Asif, this is like basically truth or dare, forget the truth, all dares. What is this, man? I was going through it.
Yeah, I was totally blown away with this. I mean, this is like, it's just so freaky awesome. Is the best way I can describe it. So yeah, coming out of Spain, a couple of folks out of the ESRI Business School, I think I'm saying that right, in Barcelona, and they came up with this thing. And so it's like location-based truth or dare, kind of Foursquare with dares, really. And so it's a social rewards thing, and you basically challenge people to complete tasks, and then those things get posted. It's really cool, and then you can get rewards on it, and it's an iOS app only. Yeah, really interesting.
It's so interesting.
And so, by the way, they came up with it in Spain, but the company is actually based in Berlin.
Well, and the other thing is that this is this is kind of they did extensive beta testing. They were talking about is the fact that not only is it an app that challenges you to do things that you would not do, and there's some great examples on the website, and certainly some great examples around the web if you do a search for them, but they also leveraged that the way that they challenge people to do their marketing. Right, so I've got some pictures here that are like, the founder walking around in like a mankini in the middle of the street because that was a dare, and they filmed it all, and now it's part of their marketing materials. Right, it's so tongue in cheek, but it's exactly like I don't know, they're eating their own dog food is the terms that I'm looking for. So they built an entire marketing platform around using these tools. So they dared you to do this. And there's this picture. I'll see if I can find it now. But there's this picture of a guy walking through Berlin in a mankini, and it's so terrible. So terrible.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, they talk about some of the challenges that are up there right now, like simple ones, like do 30 push-ups in the morning in exchange for a compliment, or another one that's a little more. They say like, do a moonwalk through every crosswalk that you're walking through, and things like that. And the idea of what they envision for the future is that brands will pick up on this and throw out sponsored challenges in exchange for perks, right? So, which then can create viral videos that they can use on their Facebook pages and drive traffic and all that kind of stuff. I really think it's a cool idea.
So do I.
It's got a lot of potential, put it that way.
Without a shadow of a doubt, and I found that picture, and it was up there for a second while you were talking. Certainly, I mean, it was just absolutely. I love it. This is something that it's tongue in cheek. It's not taking itself too seriously, but this could, when people always come to me and they say, "Hey, listen, Rob, and you get this. I'm sure you get this, Asif, and those who are listening or watching, you get this as well. Especially if you're in a company and they say like, "Hey, we need to create a viral video." Right? You get that a lot. I get that a lot. Hey, how do you create a viral video? I'm like, well, you create a video that's appealing to a lot of people, and then, hey, it goes viral. Okay, so how do we do that? I said, I just told you, right? You don't. Maybe this is the first time that you can create a viral video because of a dare, right? The outcome of a dare. Who knows? But Klash.
Who knows? And I was thinking about this. In some respects, like not to put too much of a business quash on this thing, because it really is a lot of fun what they've come up with here. But in some respects, it's like a humorous version of something like Zarly, really, right? I mean, it's about creating jobs for people to do and paying them essentially by setting a reward in exchange for doing something funny, as opposed to something serious like cut my grass and I'll pay you. But it's the same premise in terms of how it works, right? Like the nuts and bolts behind the system are very much the same.
Well, this is I always think about this. This is basically like a mobile version of Jackass, right?
Yes.
And it can hopefully their legal work around this is just, hey, listen, if you do anything, it's not our responsibility. You are a human being with an average sized brain. You understand that if you do something that's deadly or that hurts you, you can't come back and get angry with us, right? So I'm sure that the disclaimers are all over this place. But I mean, if you're interested in this, just go to Klash app, Klash clash-app.com, or you can download this in the App Store. And if you've done any of these things, hey, videotape it, send it our way. We will put it up here for sure on this episode. And the dumber the better.
We always have a channel to broadcast.
Yes, 100%. Any Clash app users out there, we'll do an entire show just of your silliness. Please. I'd love to do that. All right, that's Clash App, Klash app.com, or just do a search for it in the App Store. It's only available on iPhone right now. Oh, man. Facedeals, Bytelight, Green Giant, Placecast doing card-linked offers, and Clash. Come on. Where else are you going to find that kind of information in a succinct 30-minute package like that? Come on. Right here. Always right here. And that's what you have come to expect from This Week in Location-Based Marketing.
That's the LBMA. Here we go. No.
I don't want to stand up too soon because I do want to bring up. We had every once in a while before we actually get to Erica. We love feedback, and every once in a while we get more than every once in a while, but we certainly get quite a bit of it. And I wanted to pull up. You're not going to be able to really read this. Maybe you will. And I've put it over the Clash app if you want to do it. Basically, this is an email from Greg Elisara. Greg, if you're listening, man, we loved this email. I responded to you privately, but he said, hey, listen. Hi, Rob. Just a very quick message to let you know that I very recently came across your weekly podcast with Asif Khan and wanted to say how much I enjoyed it. I am working through some of the earlier podcasts, and there are now 99 other ones from this one. Keep up the great work. By the way, I am working on a new location service startup that I'd love to share with you and Asif when it comes out of stealth. Thanks and regards, Greg. Greg, you have now an open slot on this show when you are ready, when you are out of stealth. I've said this. I forwarded it off to Asif. You are welcome on our show. We love it. So Greg Elisara, thank you for your feedback. Anybody else out there? Please bring it. We will read it here. And if you get, if you want to even do an audio or video thank you or a review of something, send it. Just post a link. Upload the audio or the video to wherever you upload audio and video, probably YouTube, and send us a link and we'll play it as long as it's profane free. I'm the only one that's allowed to swear on the show, and nudity free because I'm the only one that's allowed to get naked on the show.
But we did figure, Rob. Now that we're 100, we can show a little chest.
Exactly.
Check, right. So
it's a little V-neck action for those of you who are listening. You don't get to see that, and you know what? Quite thankfully, you don't get to see that. All right. So, Greg, thank you, man. Thank you very much. You made our 100th episode even better. We much appreciate your feedback. So you, Asif, got a chance to sit down with Erica McClenney from Expion earlier this week to have a great little interview. And so why don't do you want to give an overview of Expion, or do you want to just let Erica talk about it?
I'll let Erica say it. I mean, I don't think I could say it any better. I mean, just a fantastic company that come across in the last few months that is playing in the sort of social CRM analytics, measurement and response space for a lot of brands. And here it is with Erica McClenney. Well, it's that time of the week again on the show where we get to bring on our special guests. And this week we have one of the newest LBMA members with us, Erica McClenney, VP of Client Services for Expion. Erica, welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's always great when we get the new blood, the new members on the show, and get to hear a little bit about some of the interesting things that you're doing. So, as we always do, why don't we start off by tell our audience a little bit about who is Expion? What are you guys all about?
So we do quite a bit of things. So first and foremost, we're a social software company, and our main core focus is helping brands, helping multi-location corporations bring all of their data through social media channels into one place. And we allow them to do all the usual, the publishing, the governing, the moderation, the analytics. Everything's in one place, so it sounds a lot. There's a lot of companies out there that are similar to us, but our differentiator is that we help multi-location extend down to the local level. So as an example, we've got clients like Applebee's, like Home Depot, like AMC movie theaters that have hundreds, if not thousands, of Facebook pages for all of their footprints. And then they also have local employees that are speaking on behalf of those locations with our tool as the governance to watch over what they're saying and, of course, make the executives happy.
Fantastic, and you do work with a lot of big names, a lot of big brands out there. You know, one of the challenges that we see in the industry is you know, as brands, you know, engage with more tools from a social and a location perspective, you know, sort of, you know, scaling that up and being able to monitor and listen to all the discussion that's going on in the social universe around what's happening with your brands. And if you're a company that has multiple brands, you know, how do you pull all that together? How can Expion help? Or maybe give us an example of a client you've worked with on how that's worked.
Yeah, so I mean, there isn't a tool that's a one-size-fits-all, and I think the change in the marketplace is the brands are getting smarter. These huge conglomerates that own all of these different products and brands. Right now, a lot of the agencies have all of those segmented based upon the tools that the agency wants to use. So as an example, Kraft Foods was looking to say all of our products, we love our agencies, we don't want to change that, but we would like our data in one place so we can start to do some cross-analysis, and then we'll grant the agencies of record whatever access they need to, and every workflow is different for every product and team. So by bringing all of those types of things together into one database and then giving access out, it really empowers that company to be able to dive in deeper, to integrate other sales data, and be able to use that to extract stories and find out more about the consumer insights instead of having it scattered everywhere. So it's been really empowering for those types of companies to bring it all to one place, and then they can integrate web listening, they can integrate any other social channels that are expanding and not have to go out and find the latest and greatest. Another tool to solve those problems if it's all in one place.
Fantastic. I mean, and that's great, especially for a brand like Kraft, where you've got, or for a company like Kraft, I should say, where you have so many, you know, sub brands and different, you know, food products and, you know, confectionery and all kinds of things going on, you know, underneath a single entity. So that's fantastic. Bring it down for me, if you will, though, to, you know, let's talk about, you know, we are obviously the Location-Based Marketing Association. You know, what does this mean for organizations like franchises that have multiple locations spread out across, you know, a country, or, you know, even multinational? You know, how do you factor in location-based platforms like Foursquare and things like that?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost for our customers, this is kind of the other side of the coin of what we do. You know, we focus on multi-anything. So with multi-location, it gets more complex because you don't necessarily have a professional agency that's managing like you would for a brand or a product. And you're really looking to empower your local employees. And first and foremost, the audiences that we see and the highest engagement starts with Facebook. So making sure that these companies like the Applebee's of the world has 1,500 Facebook pages, right, one for almost every restaurant. They also have a huge brand presence, but they have different activities in different neighborhoods all across the country. You add in global situations to that with other types of brands, it gets even more complex. And then you put the franchise layer on top of that, all the different franchises that own Applebee's. There's over 40 companies that own those 1,500 locations. It's a gigantic mess. But starting with Facebook is probably the key that we push people towards, because the employees can be governed and empowered through our system. They don't have access on native, and it also gives them the ability to cross-train and to use an infrastructure to reach those local employees that sometimes is not in place. So communications is a really big challenge. And then you add on top of that, you want to get into location-based with check-ins, or you want to be as real-time as possible if you start to think about Foursquare coming into play. As my Salesforce is kicking me out here right in the middle of our interview. That's good stuff. But keeping all of those things, and the communications is the biggest challenge that we find with anything that's location-based, because you have to get your workforce that is greeting your customers through the front door to understand what those programs are.
Right.
So we don't necessarily advocate that everybody should do everything location-based, but I think it all starts with the footprint of your store. And by having social as piece number one, and then piece number two being able to communicate with those employees, that's a major challenge and a win for a lot of companies. And then they can extend out into looking, maybe Foursquare is an opportunity for them. Maybe it's just they want to aggregate check-ins through Facebook. Maybe they want to look for the ability to spin up an offer only at one store but not another. So it's a lot of things that feed into what does location really mean with social and with marketing. And I think the biggest piece is that if you have the communication tool to reach, regardless of your business structure, then you'll be successful with whatever you want to execute.
Fantastic. I mean, there's so much power in your platform in terms of tool sets and kind of putting it all in one place for people. But just to wrap things up, I mean, tell us just if you can really quickly, what's next for Expion? Where are you guys going, or where's the industry going? What should we be looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I think the industry's headed in the direction that, social tools are becoming a commodity. If you're just looking for a tool to publish and then be able to moderate, there's a lot of tools that do that. They all do it slightly differently. They might have one channel and not another. That's, I think, becoming more of a table stake, that you have to have that even to be in a consideration set. We feel that the market is going more towards a digital, all-encompassing dashboard. So the ability to bring in sales data. And the hard part is when you deal with social data is you have terms of use of all these channels. We can't pass Facebook information into somebody else's database. We have to look for ways to bring in those streams of information and then overlay it with the social data so that we're not being cut off as a Facebook PMD. Right. We kind of value that relationship. We value being a Google Plus partner. We value being in conversations with Twitter on a regular basis. We don't want to tick off those tools that have made us what we are today. But I think the shift in bringing in more data sources, and then however you need to represent that data is going to be, if it's the CMO wants to see a pretty chart, or if it's the agency of record needs a more streamlined way that they can run their monthly reports on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Google Plus analytics, and then they can also talk about whatever their next month's plans are. I think streamlining workflow, but then also presenting lots of different data points overlaid with social is really where it's headed. So it's sort of becoming that full integration of a platform and not just a solution to solve one problem.
Right. Well, I mean, it sounds awesome. Looking forward to digital dashboard futures for all of us. And again, for our listening audience, we've had the pleasure today to have Erica McClenney, Vice President Client Services for Expion. Erica, thank you for sharing with us on This Week in Location-Based Marketing.
Yeah, great. And if you need us, you can find me on Twitter, and you can always check out expion.com too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Erica McClenney. Again, we thank Erica for sharing with us and helping us understand a little bit more about a fantastic business. And, we're really proud to have companies like that involved in the LBMA. And if you're out there and you're listening, you're watching, and you want to do a feature on that, we welcome that kind of stuff, as Rob has said already. So reach out to us, let us know. And we'd love to have you in the association. We'd love to have you on the show.
100%. So, Erica, thank you for your time. We love the fact that people are donating their time, and you know what? We get a lot more knowledge out of that, and it's always good to have a third party aside from Asif and I on the show talking about this space. Shows you the depth, diversity of the location-based marketing world. So that was Erica McClenney from Expion. Erica, thanks. All right. I alluded to it at the very beginning, just around big companies. Asif, you talked about this, I think it was last December of 2011, maybe November of 2011, just about a year ago, around the fact that, listen, these sleeping giants, the Telnavs, the ESRIs of the world, if you will, the location kings, the guys that have been around since the late 60s, 70s in this space, that have been collecting so much data that we just don't even know about right now. We always ask, when are they going to wake up? When are they going to wake up? And I think 2012 was the year that they started to emerge from this slumber of, a lack of innovation, I would say, and a lack of, and basically being laggards in the mobile space. And we got two stories in the funding and acquisition space around these guys buying smaller companies. So we'll start with Telnav buying Eli Portnoy's company, ThinkNear, which I've interviewed Eli twice on Untether.tv about his companies, and this was a great deal. I love this. I liked Eli a lot when I sat down with him, and I love the fact that he's padding his pocket with this.
Yeah, this is a great deal. I mean, so $22.5 million for ThinkNear. ThinkNear was one of the New York Techstars graduates, And they started in New York, and they ended up moving to LA at some point, and kind of moving on from there. And now now they're part of Telnav, and this is great because Telnav is one of the big guys, one of the old dogs, so to speak. GPS, turn-by-turn directions, all that kind of stuff. And now they'll have the ability to target ads, which comes from the ThinkNear side of things, down to very small distances, 100 meters, kind of targeting. And this is fantastic because, we've talked a lot about, these big guys, these sort of, the generation one for me of location and navigation, and the Garmins and the TomToms and all these guys, and Telnav's certainly in that group. And they have to find new ways to make money. They have to reinvent their business models. They have to partner. They have to license, and they have to buy. And this is a good one. To kind of help them have hyper local targeted ads, contextual ads, connected to their turn-by-turn navigation system.
Yeah, this is a match made in heaven, and $22.5 million, as you said. Techstars, first of all, Techstars New York's only exit so far as an incubator, and the largest exit for any Techstars company ever. So Eli, congratulations on that, and I think that Telnav made the right choice here for driving footfall, driving traffic. This is, it's great, and it's great all around. And Eli, I couldn't be happier for you, and enjoy your spoils. And they only raised like $1.7 million. So that's a good return for their investors, 20 times.
Yeah.
Or 18 times their investment. Yeah. Eli, good on you, buddy. Good on you. So that's Telnav acquiring ThinkNear. And we'll get Eli on, when he's allowed to talk about it, onto another episode of Untether.tv to talk about this whole process that he went through and why Telnav. But it was very clear that it's a match made in heaven. So on from Telnav to ESRI. Man, I love this. Picked up a company, GeoLoqi.
Yeah, this is a great company. Been at it for a little while. Amber Case runs this company, and she's been a big proponent on the speaking circuit. Talking about the power of location and what you can do with it. And so ESRI's again a huge player in this space. Probably one of the biggest. Mapping, location intelligence players out there. And, this system, this GeoLoqi system will give them, it's a back-end system. It's designed for developers, kind of real-time location, geocoding kind of platform that ESRI can now, layer on top of their mapping products, layer on top of some of their other stuff. ESRI has a thing called ArcGIS, which is their main software platform that a lot of government services organizations use, healthcare organizations have been using. So, with the real-time addition, which is what they were missing, now they have the ability to kind of, go to some of these existing clients, these large, huge clients, and give them the ability to kind of add, real-time location targeting, on top of some of the services they're already using. So one of the examples that they gave was, with some of the healthcare clients, for example, you could build, a system where it might remind, customers to take their medication, or fill prescriptions or things like that, that might be, being pushed out by a government healthcare plan, type of service that they were already subscribed to. The interesting thing I liked about this is when there was an interview that Street Fight did with Amber after this acquisition, and she said she was quoted as saying that she thinks of it like this: ESRI is really good at supplying the nouns and adjectives, the people, places, and things, and all the descriptions, and we're supplying the verbs.
How elegant! That is so elegant.
I thought it was great.
Wow.
I thought it was great. So well said, Amber.
Well, that's a big acquisition. No numbers have been given, and certainly I know there's a lot of concern around there because a lot of people use the GeoLoqi API for insertion into their applications and that data, and they said that service will be uninterrupted. It will continue down that path. GeoLoqi raised about $350,000, and as I said, that nobody knows how much ESRI paid for it, but it's a valuable piece to their future. So congratulations to those guys as well. Yeah, it's huge. Shifting gears here a little bit to our one funding story. and then we'll get right back to an acquisition. We did say, Asif actually did say that 2012 was going to be the year of consolidation and acquisition, and certainly over the last year we've seen that quite substantially. But here is a company called Talkbits that has raised a couple of $1 million, and this is an interesting one because of our love of leaving location-based messages and communicating based on location, and this is one of those companies.
Yeah, so this is a pretty new company, actually. So it's called Talkbits. They raised $2 million coming from Runa Capital, which is actually a Russian venture capital company. The app is Android and iOS. It's just being launched this past week at the Dublin Web Summit. It's a closed alpha, so they only have 150 people so far testing this thing, according to what I read. But they're going to roll this out city by city. They're starting in London and Moscow, and then kind of rolling it out in a few other cities from there. But really cool. This is voice messages connected to location. There's a few platforms like that we've seen before. But as opposed to it being historical voice messages on a platform, say like Broadcaster, these are more sort of real time and tagged, right, as well. So.
Yeah, $2 million. Nothing to complain about, and I think that the apps are just coming out now. So hopefully, by the time you've listened or watched this, they would have been out if that's of interest to you. And it's an interesting take. This is a little bit of Broadcaster, a little bit of WhatsApp kind of combination here,
yes.
right?
Yep.
And I think it's a neat thing. I haven't found a lot of use for these tools that kind of circumvent SMS because I'm on iOS, or I was on BlackBerry before, so we had BBM and now we have iMessage, and I don't really have an urge to leave audio messages for anybody. So maybe I'm not the demographic for this, but this is, the more I love the idea of geographically tagging spots and thoughts at spots, and I start to think about my legacy, not in a grand scheme of things, but my legacy to my children. And they're going to have, obviously, 100 episodes plus of This Week in Location-Based Marketing to come back and realize who I was, and all of the podcasts and episodes of Untethered that I've done. But, I'd love to say that, this is a walk through my life, and I love these ideas of location-based broadcasting my own existence. And it's a selfish thing, but it isn't when you start to think about leaving that legacy for your children to really understand, and their children, who their grandfather was and who their father was. So I love that kind of stuff.
Here's an interesting thought. I mean, at one point when I had more time, I got into doing a bit of genealogy kind of stuff on the family, and if you think about a platform like this, with forethought. It could be quite interesting if, say, Family Tree Maker guys or some of these other softwares from that world were to partner with guys like this. Could be a really interesting relationship. Anyhow.
Yeah, and it is true. Like I'm 26, so I'm thinking about I'm 42, so I'm thinking about that stuff now, right? As everything around me ages, and this coming Tuesday is my boy's 6th birthday. So you start to think about these things, and your legacy has to be a little bit more than your Springsteen collection and a couple of I like this. I like Talkbits, and if you're interested in it, go to talkbits.com. Exactly as it sounds. They've raised $2 million, and their apps are to be launched imminently. I think their launch is really cool. All right, enough of the mushy stuff, shall we? It's episode 100. I get a little emotional, But our fourth story, actually, for funding is another acquisition that it seems like if you have the name Tag in it, this company wants to pick you up. Tagged acquires UrbanTag, which is interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, UrbanTag is one of those companies. It's a mobile app that you kind of find stuff around you. It's a social discovery app, I guess is the category you can put it in. Find information about local venues around you. You can bookmark them. You can kind of get recommendations on them. It's a social discovery tool. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. They've got 150,000 posts on the system, 90,000 different places, 123 countries that they've covered, according to one article. In terms of data that's in the system. picked up by UrbanTag. I didn't see a price point on this one. I don't know if you did, but UrbanTag has been going around buying companies like crazy. Like, these guys are consolidating the market like you wouldn't believe. Or sorry, Tagged, I should say, is buying companies like UrbanTag. This is the 5th acquisition that they've made in the last little while. They bought High Five, Digsby, Topic Marks, and WeGame, all in the last year. So Tagged overall has 300 million members worldwide, apparently. They've raised $15 million from Lighthouse Capital and America Bank in the last little while. So they've raised, I think, something like almost 24 million. So they're using some of that money to buy some pretty interesting companies.
It's pretty crazy when you come to think about it, right? When you start to think about the fact that they've raised $20 million, but it's obviously just a roll-up play that they've done. And UrbanTag seems like a pretty cool company. Yeah.
Now the High Five that I alluded to, is that the same High Five that way back when was one of the early competitors to Facebook?
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, well, I can check that quickly as we roll through.
It must be, because I mean, I don't know how else do you get to 300 million members.
Well, and that's
worldwide.
Yeah. I mean, the companies that they've acquired around, like Digsby and Topic Marks and WeGame, they're not huge, right? But let me just pull up the High Five tag.
High Five was pretty big outside of North America, if I recall.
Yeah, it is the company. High Five is the Facebook competitor.
Yeah,
I use that in quotes. Yeah, that's 300 million. Because that's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's about as many people as listen to this podcast every single week. 300 million, and we're not. We haven't gone over the deep end. Yeah, and they bought High Five. They bought High Five what is it? Yeah, High Five for. I don't even know if I've got numbers on this either. But they've spent a lot of money. They raised $28 million. Tagged did. But I don't see a price on that either. And that was from way back last December. They bought High Five. So nice, good catch, Asif. So Tagged acquires UrbanTag. So that's it. Telnav in the acquisition game with ThinkNear, ESRI, GeoLoqi. Talkbits raises $2 million, and Tagged acquires UrbanTag. Maybe it's in the name. I think that the domain name
one tag too many. I think.
Exactly, one tag too many. Tag team. Oh, it's terrible.
It's like those, when the little babies now, and you get those blankets and they got tags all over the place.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you seen those?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Tagged, and tagged. So that's it. So these are awesome stories, right? And we're going to finish it off with our resource of the week. And this time, as I said, it's from an Ottawa-based company. This company has 35,000 shops. 35,000 shops. It's an e-commerce platform, web-based e-commerce platform. I know the CEO, Tobias Lutke, and the Chief Platform Officer, Harley Finkelstein, very, very well. These are local Ottawa guys that support this community at a great clip. I was at the Springsteen show in Ottawa on Friday night, just this past Friday night, and was there waving at Harley Finkelstein as well. He's in his nice little box up there. But these guys, huge economic driver for the city of Ottawa. 140 employees, 35,000 stores. They just finished doing. They just crossed the $1 billion in transactions through their stores, and they also just released this infographic, which is our resource of the week: the rise of mobile commerce. What was surprising about this? Anything significant about this, Asif?
It's first of all, I pulled this out because mobile commerce. Everyone's talking about commerce right now. Holiday season's upon us. I've spent the last 3 weeks talking to retailers, and everybody's busy right now getting ready for the holidays. Obviously, it's the busiest time of the year in the retail business in terms of planning and just getting set. And everybody's predicting that this Christmas is going to be the biggest ever in terms of mobile shopping, mobile commerce. So this is a study, 35,000 Shopify stores. They figure that 1 in 4 purchases this Christmas will be on a mobile device. You and I were talking before this, before we started the show today, about credit cards. So I'll let you comment on that. But I think that's significant. If 25% of purchases that are going to happen this Christmas are going to happen on a mobile device, I think that's a big number.
Yeah, it's it's.
And by the way, sorry, just before you comment, they're saying next Christmas they expect it'll be 43%. Yeah. So these are big numbers.
They are, and you know how I feel about predicting a year in advance, let alone a day in advance in this industry. It's very difficult because you're doing it on a trajectory that is acceptable today, but you don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 to 9 months, and we don't know what's going to happen on Tuesday when Apple launches an iPad Mini. What does that have to do? What's the impact of these kind of things on these numbers? And there's technology that's being invented every month or every 6 months, and we don't know what ISIS is going to do, and we don't know what Square is going to do, and we don't know what PayPal is going to do, and we don't know what Amazon is going to do. So it's too far. 12 months is too great a distance. We know it's going to be big, but we don't know how big it is. And so I have a problem with that. But the big thing that nobody's focusing on, at least I haven't seen, and if anybody out there has seen, please let us know, is the net impact of mobile. Now, I'm not talking about transactions on a mobile device, because a credit card is mobile. Cash is mobile. Your bank card is mobile. Coupons are mobile. Traveler's checks are mobile, right? These are all mobile. And if we're just replacing that kind of payment with a mobile device because it just has access to our credit card, cash, and everything else through the mobile device, I don't give a shit. That is not what mobile is good at. It's no more convenient to pay with a mobile device than it is with cash or credit card. What I'm really interested in finding out is the net impact. How did companies use mobile to drive growth in revenue, not just moving it from cash onto the mobile device? So when I hear this, is like, you know what? 100% of transactions today are mobile, because you're either paying with your credit card or you're paying with cash or your debit card.
I completely agree with that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about net change, right? Did I drive additional, sales because of mobile?
Right. That's it.
Did I increase footfall and traffic to the store because of mobile?
Yep.
Those are the questions that we need to be looking at. Not, I'm not saying that the data that they're presenting.
It's good data.
I mean, I like the Shopify guys too. It's great data.
Yeah.
But we need to be asking different questions, I think, as well, in addition to these ones. But we need, the focus has to be, about monetization of these platforms,
yep.
Not, can I move the dollars from one platform to another?
Yeah, we see this all over the time. Like, we see this in the newspaper industry. Is that they've had many years to adjust to what's going on in mobile and digital, and what have they done? All they've done is taking these statistics, right? Is that they've taken all of their print dollars and converted them into digital dollars, and the digital dollars, well, in a business sense, are worth infinity times the number of dollars that you would get from print. The reality is that they're worth 1/7 of that in terms of real revenue. So they're at this mode, right, where they're not driving new revenue. It's the same thing here, is that if you're not driving new revenue, you go out of business. Don't just transfer it. Use these platforms to move real dollars, new dollars into your business. So start here, where you already are, you're already collecting that, and use mobile to move that up, drive more revenue. And I'm looking for those numbers. I know we're all looking for those numbers. So if anybody out there, let's bring those numbers to light so that we can actually shine our audience, shine it on our audience, and make sure that we can actually have these numbers. So if you know of them, untether@gmail.com or seif@thelbma.com. But I mean, Shopify has to do this. This is their business, and these are great numbers, and it's pointing all things up. And they made a great acquisition in Select Start Studios to help them drive their mobile play, and I love what they're doing. And but I just need some reporting, some meat, new revenue, GDP kind of stuff.
There you go. Well, and perhaps this is a discussion that will happen later this week. So if I can make a quick plug, the LBMA has a lot of events coming up over the next few months. The next of which is only 3 days away. So on Wednesday, the 24th of October, on Wednesday, our Montreal chapter is hosting their next event, and it's called 60 Days to Christmas, a Solo Mobile Survival Guide. And so they'll be talking about all these issues around retail and the holidays and mobile and analytics and local search and how all these things are coming together. So a good event put together there by the local chapter. There's still a couple of tickets left, I think, for that, if you haven't had a ticket yet. So if you're in Montreal, I encourage you to go out. The information's on the lbma.com under the events section. But some really good stuff. Sébastien Provencher, is one of the speakers. He's a well-known guy in the Montreal social media world and local search world. A guy named Charles David Racine. He's a big search engine optimization guy. He was involved with Le Devoir, the newspaper there, and a few other things. There's a guy named Brian Rothstein who's also going to be on a panel there. He's a big player in the sort of design, internet marketing. Worked with a number of big brands, Mail Prints, Nuvicor, and a few others in Montreal. So some pretty big names there. Kareem Jiraj as well. He helped launch Mobilize Me back in 2009. So so some big guys involved with this. So there you go.
And did we mention that it's free? Is it free?
It's free.
It's free.
It's a free event. Yeah. So October the 24th, Montreal. Information's on the site. A couple of tickets left. Not a lot. There's a few tickets there, so get your ticket now.
Free. My God. Free. Like, I've run events. Free doesn't make any money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, brought to you by our Montreal chapter sponsor, Sweet IQ.
Nice.
That's what makes it free.
That's how it becomes free. And you're going to be at the Street Fight Summit in New York City at the end of the month as well?
I will be there, yes.
And, there's so much going on now. It's peak season for all this kind of stuff. Anything else that you need to push through this?
That's kind of the quick ones that are happening. I would say that Montreal Street Fight Summit, and then immediately following that, I'll be talking more about this next week. Our official LBMA launch in Asia, in Singapore, on the 5th of November. That's going to be a fantastic event. We got a lot of support for it, and so if you're in the Asian market, you're listening to this show, you can get to Singapore for November the 5th. I want you there.
Nice. Meet Asif. New York at the Street Fight Summit or Singapore. You decide. You got two major cities. You just pick one and then walk up to Asif and say, hey, I listened to This Week in Location-Based Marketing. All right, that is it.
100 episodes
done
in the bag.
We can officially say we are a centurion. A personal note to those folks that are just finding us or have been with us for most of these episodes or all of these episodes. I know that it is an arduous task to sit and listen to Asif and I for 1 hour once a week. And it is not lost on us the amount of time that you spend with us. Thousands of hours have been consumed listening to these podcasts. But I can't thank you enough, and I know Asif can't thank you enough for doing that, for making the effort. This is for the betterment of your business. We are trying to bring you stories that drive awareness to this industry that actually will help you. And if it's not helping you, stop listening. If it's helping you, reach out and let us know. It has been an absolute pleasure doing this on your behalf out there who are listening or watching this, to bring you these stories, to go into a little bit more in-depth detail about these stories every single week. But it's been my ultimate pleasure for 2 years, for 100 episodes, to get to know Asif during this period of time. It is an absolute honor to be able to do this with a guy of this magnitude of knowledge in this space. And I learn every single week. So to you guys out there, thank you. And Asif, man, to you, can't thank you enough. This has been 100 episodes of pure, absolute learning. And I really appreciate the fact that, we can do this.
Yeah, no, and I feel the same, Rob. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better partner to pull this thing off with. You just bring so much reality to it. I get so excited about these stories, pulling them together every week, and it's really nice to have somebody to kind of bounce them off of and kind of go back and forth. And the beauty of this show, and we hear it over and over again, and I really, really thank our audience for 100 episodes and 100 more to come. Is that I hear over and over again that they love that between you and I, we just tell it like we see it. We're not trying to fluff it up. We're not trying to just kind of cater to somebody out there. But we find stuff on a global scale that we think is interesting, and we try to make it valuable, and we try to just add a little bit of knowledge to your weekly life. And so. Thanks everybody for listening and watching, and thanks to you, Rob, and 100 more.
No kidding, but definitely, we'll be back next week for episode 101. Man, 101. Thank you guys for watching. Asif, it's been an absolute pleasure. We will see you guys all next week. Another episode. This Week in Location-Based Marketing. Done. Big one. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.
Yeah, there you go. Boom.